May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I wanted to bring you the very important story of Cheslie Kryst. When most people picture a depressed person, they don't usually think of someone like Cheslie because she seemed to have the perfect life. She was intelligent, loving, gorgeous, and she was even Miss USA. So what did someone like that even have to be depressed about? Well, that's why I wanted to share her story. Depression isn't simply about being sad. Everybody gets sad from time to time, but depression is much, much worse. It's not something that you can simply snap out of, and it's not a choice. No one wants to be depressed. No one wants to be in bed for weeks at a time, unable to function. During serious bouts of depression, a person may not want to eat, they may not want to take a shower, or even brush their teeth. They're unmotivated to do pretty much anything. There's a dark storm cloud that is over their head, and it follows them wherever they go. 1 in 5 Americans will experience mental illness in a given year, according to the CDC. And the past 2 years have only just made things worse. 1 in 20 live with a severe mental illness like bipolar or schizophrenia. But depression is the most common mood disorder, and it's not the same for everyone. It can range from mild to severe. Depression and anxiety do not care how gorgeous you are. They don't care if you're smart. They don't care that you were Miss USA and that you interviewed celebrities on the red carpet. They're mental illnesses, and they do not discriminate. They aren't usually obvious, so you can't simply look at someone and tell that they're suffering mentally. Cheslie hid her pain extremely well, so her death caught everyone off guard. She took her life on Sunday, January the 30th of this year, and no one saw it coming. Just hours before she died, she posted this image on Instagram with the caption, "May this day bring you rest and peace." She also left a note on her computer that said that she was leaving all of her belongings to her mother. And she also sent her mother a text message that I will either read or play for you at the end. Cheslie Kryst was born in Jackson, Michigan, but the family later moved to Charlotte. She was introduced to pageants through her mother, April Simpkins, who was Mrs. North Carolina in 2002. And Cheslie had 4 brothers and 1 sister. The family eventually moved to South Carolina, and it's where Cheslie won her first pageant, Miss Freshman at Northwestern High School in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The family later moved to Fort Mill, South Carolina. Cheslie earned a bachelor's from the University of South Carolina in Columbia, and she earned her MBA and her law degree from Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. After graduating in 2017, she became licensed to practice law in both North and South Carolina. She used her degree to do pro bono work for low-level drug offenders. When she was 28, she became Miss USA in 2019. And she was the oldest to win the title, and social media would not let her forget that. Just months after winning the Miss USA title, she moved to New York to fulfill her responsibility. And soon after that, she did a talk at a former high school where she described herself as a weird kid that had a unibrow and that didn't have any friends. And she also said that she almost failed kindergarten because she was so quiet. Her teachers didn't even know if she was ready for the first grade. She also told the students during the speech that she had since found her voice, and that no matter where you start, the possibilities for your future are limited only by the depth of your own imagination. She said that she was still that same weird kid, and that she liked to read books, and at the end of the day, she wanted to sit by herself in her house and just watch her favorite movies, one which was The Devil Wears Prada. 10 months before she died, she wrote an essay for Allure magazine that kind of gave you some type of insight as to what she was going through. She said that when she turned 30, she felt a cold reminder that she was running out of time to matter in society's eyes, and it was infuriating. She said, "I remember being enamored by 20 under 20 and 30 under 30 lists that tied achievement to youth and called it success. The lists are surely intended to recognize the rarity of accomplishing outstanding feats at a young age, but they had an unfortunate side effect on some young people who felt encouraged to hoard accomplishments as fast as possible in order to measure up to their peers." She said, when I graduated from college and opted to continue my studies at Wake Forest, I decided that I would earn a law degree and an MBA at the same time. She said, why stop at 2 degrees when you can have 3? She also joined a trial team at school and she won a national championship. She competed in moot court, she won essay competitions, and she earned local, regional, and national executive board positions. She nearly worked herself to death, literally, until she was in the hospital for 8 days, and this sparked the development of a new perspective. She discovered that the world's most important question, especially when asked repeatedly and answered frankly, is why? Why earn more achievements just to collect another win? Why pursue another plaque or medal or line item on my resume if it's for vanity's sake rather than out of passion? Why work so hard to capture the dreams that I've been taught by society to want when I continue to find only emptiness? Too often, I noticed that the only people that were impressed by an accomplishment were those who wanted it for themselves. Meanwhile, I was rewarded with a lonely craving for that next award. Some would see this as hunger and label it competitiveness, while others might call it the unquenchable thirst of insecurity. I was further along in the journey of learning this lesson when I won Miss USA. My term was not an exercise in the expected. Instead, it filled me with purpose. In fact, from the moment I won, my reign ignited a heightened desire to commit myself to passion, intent, and authenticity. Pageant girls are supposed to be model tall and slender, don bouffant hair, and have a killer walk. But my 5'6" frame won with six-pack abs, earned after years of competing in Division I track and field and ahead of natural curls. My challenge of the status quo certainly caught the attention of trolls, and I can't tell you how many times I have deleted comments on my social media pages that had vomit emojis and insults telling me I wasn't pretty enough to be Miss USA or that my muscular build was actually a man body. After she won the title, some petitioned for the age limit to be lowered because they thought Cheslie was too old. My 29th birthday felt very emblematic of the season that I'm looking forward to entering. In a time when extravagant birthday parties are the gold standard of celebrations, I was happily stuck in my apartment, parading around in a black silk top, matching shorts, and a floor-length robe while scarfing down banana pudding and screening birthday calls. I even wore my crown around the apartment for most of the day, knowing that I would have to give it back at the end of my reign as Miss USA. I did what I wanted rather than the expected. Far too many of us allow ourselves to be measured by a standard that some sternly refuse to challenge and others simply acquiesce to because fitting in and going with the flow is easier than rowing against the current. I fought this fight before, and it's the battle that I'm currently fighting with 30. How do I shake society's unwavering norms when I'm facing the relentless tick of time? And at the end of the essay she wrote, now I enter year 30, searching for joy and purpose on my own terms, and that feels like my own sweet victory. In a statement that was given to Extra by her mother, April Simpkins, she said Cheslie was dealing with what's called high-functioning depression, which she hid from everyone, including her mother, until shortly before her death. After that, the phrase high-functioning depression began trending on social media and in the news. High-functioning depression isn't an actual clinical diagnosis. It's a colloquial term that means someone meets the criteria for depression, but functions on a daily basis without having their depression being apparent to others or even to themselves.
Miss Wisconsin USA 2020, and we're going to be talking about mental health because that's, what she's been talking about during her year of service. And so I'm thrilled to talk to her about it. I think it's something that needs to be discussed. So let's jump into, our talk about mental health. Why did you decide to advocate for mental health awareness? I mean, you work a lot with, is it Mental Health America?
Yeah, I work a lot with Mental Health America here in Wisconsin. And it's really personal to me because when I was 13, my mom was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And 5 years ago, my brother was diagnosed with depression. And so that was always an ongoing cause in my life. It was only natural that I became an advocate for it after becoming Miss Wisconsin, because I would volunteer with them, and I know that story very personally. I also know the stigma that comes along with it because I hid it for so long. My entire life, I never wanted to tell anyone in school what was going on at home. I never wanted to talk with friends about what was going on at home. I never wanted to give any inkling that my life was not perfect.
Yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of people who feel the same way, who, don't feel stigmatized because, they or family members may be dealing with mental health issues and don't often feel like they can talk to other people about it. So I think it's good that, you've got this platform.
The diagnosis is officially called persistent depressive disorder, or PDD, and it can have serious consequences if it's not addressed and treated. The first criteria for PDD is that the person experiences a depressed mood most days and for most of the day. And it has to be for a minimum period of 2 years without any relief from depression for longer than 2 months during that period. And the depressed mood must include 2 or more of these symptoms: changes in eating and sleeping habits, low self-esteem, fatigue, hopelessness, difficulty concentrating, and the person may also feel sad or cry a lot without being able to pinpoint why. They may feel a little down most of the time, and some may even refer to them as gloomy, cynical, or a downer. The low mood is almost always present, and it feels like nothing you do helps. When you do feel happy, it doesn't last long. Some may see the person as lazy, but that is not it. They just don't have the energy to do more than is necessary. Everything takes a great deal of effort. With PDD, it's very possible for a person to be productive, make a lot of money, have a huge house, a nice car, but they are still depressed. It's often seen in people that have type A personalities, and other characteristics may include holding an important position, struggling with perfectionism, being a people pleaser, or wanting to be perceived as strong and capable. If others see them as perfectionists, that can make the person want to live up to those expectations. Those who appear to be functioning well may believe that they shouldn't feel depressed, and they may even be embarrassed about it. The saying, "too blessed to be stressed," is a popular phrase that those with depression may hear often because sometimes people think that you can turn it on and off like a switch. They don't understand that it's an actual illness. Many people suffering with severe depression consider committing the final act for a while, and they may visit the ER because of it. They may end up at the ER because they show these typical warning signs, and here are some of those. Having a plan or a method for ending their life. They may isolate themselves more than they do usually. They may be getting their affairs in order in a way that you haven't seen them do before. They may be preoccupied with death or talk about dying, and they may show signs of restlessness or discomfort. But it's important to know that not everyone who takes their life will show these signs beforehand. Some may not show any signs.
I think what shocks so many people is when you see her on television, when you see her on Instagram, TikTok, she's smiling, she's bubbly, and that was Cheslie. But Cheslie was also battling depression, which she hid.
Did you see any preliminary signs or?
I did. I knew Cheslie was suffering from depression. I didn't know the severity of it.
Yeah.
This was not her first attempt, and it was after that first attempt that she and I grew very close the morning of her passing. Cheslie left a note in her apartment. Very simple, just said she wanted to leave everything to me. Sunday mornings, Cheslie knows I go to work out at my exercise class. I was leaving my class. I was gonna call her on my way home, and when I looked at my phone, I noticed there was a text message from her. And I'll just read a little bit if that's okay.
Sure.
The first thing she said is, "First, I'm sorry. By the time you get this, I won't be alive anymore. And it makes me even more sad to write this because I know it will hurt you the most. I think at that point I near blacked out, because by the time I read the text, an hour had passed. I don't even remember step by step what happened. I do remember at some point I was calling my husband, screaming, and he's saying, what? I got home and we're just trying to figure out what to do. I had not read the rest of her message. I just couldn't. But when I scrolled it, I could tell that it was long. Yeah. And I thought, this is not good. Her message went on to say, I love you, Mom, and you are my best friend and the person I've lived for years. I wish I could stay with you, but I cannot bear the crushing weight of persistent sadness, hopelessness, and loneliness any longer. I've never told you these feelings because I've never wanted you to worry and because I hoped they would eventually change, but I know they never will. They follow me through every accomplishment, success, family gathering, friendly dinner. I cry almost every day now, like I'm in mourning. I've wished for death for years, and I know you would want to know and want to help, but I haven't wanted to share this weight with anyone. Regardless of that, thank you sincerely for being there for me in some of my loneliest moments without me even telling you I needed you. You have kept me alive and ready to face another day because you answer every phone call and you are there for me at the drop of a hat. You listen to me and care when I tell you what goes on in my life, and you've always made me feel like you love me. I love you more than any person I've ever known. You've done nothing wrong. You've done everything right. I no longer feel like I have any purpose in life. I don't know if I ever really did. And some things I'm just going to skip just because they're just a little more personal.
Yeah.
She says I've pushed away most of my friends and I can't fix any of it no matter how hard I've tried. So I will leave and rejoin God in heaven and hope to find peace there. I don't want to leave, but I genuinely feel like I have to if I want to escape my loneliness that feels like it has no end. I've fought against depression for a long time, but it's won this time around. There aren't enough words in the world to describe my love and appreciation for you. You are the perfect mom, and I will love you forever, even in death. Feel free to share this message. People should know that you're the best mom in the world and that you were the best mom to me that I ever could have hopes for. It took me a while to read that all the way through. I would read some sentences and then I just would collapse. But after I really absorbed it, I became thankful.
Yeah.
Thankful that I had her for 30 incredible years.
Right.
That I got to watch her. I think she knew that I would need those words moving forward to just bring me comfort.
Absolutely.
Just a week after Cheslie died, Regina King's son, Ian Alexander Jr., took his life, and he was only 26. Naomi Judd also recently passed away after struggling with mental illness for decades. You never know what someone is going through, so it's important to destigmatize conversations about depression and mental health, especially in communities where the conversation is rarely had. Being depressed doesn't mean that a person is weak or lazy or ungrateful. It's an actual mental illness that affects the most important system of our body, so it should not be neglected. When you have a problem with your heart, you get it checked out. If you have a problem with your stomach, you get it checked out. If you have a problem with your leg, you get it checked out. But for some reason, people tend to neglect their mental health. When it comes to depression and committing that final act, most people do not want to end their life. They want to get away from that dark cloud that is over their head. They want to get away from the pain. If you're having thoughts similar to these, there will be several links in the description that I hope you check out. And please reach out to someone that cares about you. Don't try to deal with this by yourself.